Does your brain feel like a browser with 3,000 tabs open and you cannot find where the music is coming from? Let's be honest. You don't just think, you simulate. You lay in bed at 3 a.m. Not because you are not tired, but because you are replaying a conversation from 5 years ago, analyzing if that specific pause in your friend's voice meant they secretly hate you. You don't just send an email. You draft it, delete it, rewrite it, and then spend 20 minutes analyzing if the exclamation mark at the end was too aggressive or too passive. People look at you and say, just relax. Stop overthinking it. But they don't understand. To you, relaxing feels dangerous. To you, turning off your brain feels like taking your hands off the steering wheel of a moving car. You feel like if you stop analyzing, everything will fall apart. So you live in this constant state of mental exhaustion. You feel like there is a motor inside your head that has been running at maximum speed since you were born, and you cannot find the off switch. You start to believe that something is wrong with you. You think you are neurotic, broken, or just socially awkward. But what if I told you that you are wrong? What if I told you that what you call overthinking is actually a mislabeled superpower? Today, we are going to look at the 3 types of overthinkers. Most people think there is only one kind, the anxious kind. But that is a lie. There are levels to this. And when we get to type number 3, you are going to realize that your busy mind isn't a flaw. It is a sign of a very specific, rare type of intelligence that most people would kill to have. But before we dive in, I need you to take a deep breath and accept one truth. You are not broken. Your brain is not trying to hurt you. It is trying to save you. Let's strip this down to the mechanics. The first type of overthinker is what psychologists call the Ruminator. If you are this type, your brain is a time machine that only travels backward. You don't just have memories. You have autopsies. When a social interaction ends, normal people just move on. But you go home and you begin the review process. You replay the scene, frame by frame, looking for mistakes. You fixate on the awkward silence at dinner. You obsess over the fact that you laughed a little too loud at a joke that wasn't that funny. This isn't because you are obsessed with yourself. It is because you are obsessed with correction. Your brain believes that if you analyze the past deeply enough, you can rewrite it. You are trying to solve a puzzle that has already been glued together. You think that by punishing yourself with shame, you will prevent yourself from making that mistake again. It is the logic of perfectionism born from a fear of rejection. But that is just the surface. If we go deeper into the biology of your brain, we find the second type, the Sentinel. While the Ruminator lives in the past, the Sentinel lives in the terrifying potential of the future. This is where the science gets fascinating. You see, for most of human history, relaxing was a good way to get eaten by a predator. Your ancestors survived not because they were chill, but because they were paranoid. They heard a twig snap in the forest and immediately imagined a saber-toothed tiger, not a cute squirrel. You have inherited that brain. When you overthink a future event, like a presentation, a first date, or a difficult conversation, you are not having an anxiety attack. You are running a survival simulation. Your brain is dumping cortisol into your system to keep you alert. Your amygdala is actively scanning for threats that haven't even happened yet. You run 10 different scenarios of how the meeting could go wrong. You script out your arguments. You anticipate every possible counter-argument. You are essentially playing a game of mental chess against a ghost. Society calls this worrying. But biologically, this is defensive pessimism. It is a security system. Your brain is trying to prepare you for the worst-case scenario so that if it happens, you survive. You aren't being negative. You are trying to be safe. You are trying to build armor out of your thoughts. But here is the problem. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a tiger in the bushes and a slightly angry email from your boss. It treats emotional danger with the same intensity as physical danger. So you end up exhausted, not because you ran a marathon, but because you spent 8 hours fighting imaginary wars in your head. You think this makes you weak. You think this makes you fragile. But you are missing the bigger picture. Because if you can harness this processing power, if you can stop the engine from overheating, this exact same mechanism turns into something incredible. Now we arrive at the truth that changes everything. The third type. If you have validated that you are not just a Ruminator or a Sentinel, you might be something much rarer. You might be the Grandmaster. This is the twist that psychologists and neuroscientists are finally starting to understand. What you call overthinking is often just a derogatory term for high-level pattern recognition. Think about how your mind actually works. When you are presented with a problem, you don't just see the problem. You see the spider web. You see the cause, the effect, the side effects, and the potential fallout 10 steps down the line. You connect dots that other people don't even know exist. While your friends are playing checkers, moving one piece at a time, reacting only to what is right in front of them, you are playing 4D chess. You are analyzing variables they are completely blind to. You notice the slight shift in your partner's tone of voice. You notice that the data in the report doesn't match the conclusion. You notice the microscopic inconsistencies in a story. And because your brain is wired to detect these patterns, you cannot unsee them. You aren't making things up. You are picking up on data points that are actually there. This is not a defect. This is the exact same trait that makes great writers, brilliant engineers, groundbreaking scientists, and elite strategists. It is the ability to run multiple simulations simultaneously. When you feel overwhelmed, it is not because your brain is weak. It is because your processor is too powerful for the situation. You are bringing a NASA supercomputer to a simple grocery run. You are analyzing the nutritional density of the milk, the ethical sourcing of the coffee, and the traffic patterns of the checkout line, all while trying to remember your PIN code. It feels like a curse because it is exhausting. High-performance engines burn a lot of fuel. They generate a lot of heat. But imagine if you didn't have this. Imagine if you were truly chill. Imagine if you walked through life blind to the nuances, blind to the risks, blind to the deeper meanings. You would feel lighter, yes, but you would also be shallow. You would be dangerously unaware. Your ability to overthink is the only reason you have empathy. It is the reason you can put yourself in someone else's shoes and imagine their pain so vividly that you feel it yourself. It is the reason you are creative, because creativity is just the act of connecting two unrelated thoughts to create something new. So, please, stop wishing for a quieter mind. A quiet mind is often an empty mind. The noise you hear? That is the sound of a complex machine doing what it was designed to do. Scientifically, this phenomenon is often linked to a specific network in your brain called the default mode network. For most people, this network quiets down when they focus on a task. But for you, it stays active. It is constantly running in the background, processing self-reflection, deep memories, and complex future scenarios. Think of it this way. Most people are walking around with a standard pocket calculator in their heads. It is reliable, it is simple, and the battery lasts forever. It does exactly what it is asked to do, and nothing more. You? You were born with a massive supercomputer. The problem isn't the hardware. The problem is that you are running software that is too heavy, and you never learned how to manage the cooling system. When your brain overheats, that is what you call anxiety. That is the spin. That is the paralysis. You are trying to process the emotional equivalent of 4K video data on a browser with 50 tabs open. So, the goal is not to downgrade your computer. You do not want to become a calculator. You simply need to learn how to close some tabs. You need to learn how to put the machine into sleep mode without pulling the plug out of the wall. Next time you catch yourself spiraling, don't hate yourself for it. Don't wish you were stupider or simpler. Instead, acknowledge the power of what is happening. Say to yourself, my system is processing a lot of data right now. That simple shift takes you from being a victim of your thoughts to being the operator of your mind. Your depth is a gift. Your awareness is a shield. And your overthinking? It is just proof that you are running on a higher voltage than everyone else. So, I have to ask, which one are you? Are you the Ruminator stuck in the past? The Sentinel guarding the future? Or have you realized you are the Grandmaster seeing patterns others miss? Tell me in the comments below. And remember, it's okay to think. Just don't forget to live.